All right, today we're going to fire up the time machine, and we're setting the dial all the way back to 2005. Why? Because we're going to look at a piece of software that was just absolutely revolutionary for artists and makers. It's called ArtCAM Pro, and it was designed to do something that, honestly, still sounds a bit like magic. Turning flat, 2D artwork into real, physical, three-dimensional objects you can actually hold.
So, think about it. That's the fundamental challenge, right? You've got a sketch, maybe a cool logo, or just a pattern on a piece of paper or on your screen. But how in the world do you translate that vision, that art, into a set of super precise instructions that a machine, a computer-controlled cutting machine or a CNC machine, can actually follow to carve wood or metal or even plastic? Well, that is the exact problem ArtCAM was built to solve. Okay, so let's dig right in and talk about the core promise of the software. What was it offering artisans and designers that made it just so incredibly powerful? And this really gets to the heart of the problem. You gotta remember, before software like this came along, turning a 2D design into a 3D form was this manual, painstakingly slow process that took an incredible amount of skill. ArtCAM's whole goal was to be that digital bridge, to connect the artist's mind, their creativity, directly to what the machine was capable of doing. And his quote right from the original 2005 manual, it just says it all. The goal here was simple: speed and efficiency. It was never about replacing the artisan, not at all. It was about empowering them. The idea was, hey, let the machine handle all the heavy lifting, all the bulk carving, so the artist could have more time to focus on what really matters, those creative details that make a piece truly special. Okay, so to really understand how ArtCAM works its magic, we need to kind of get under the hood and get a handle on three really crucial concepts. Think of these as the fundamental ingredients for basically everything that happens inside the software. So let's break them down. So first up, we have the two types of 2D artwork that are our starting point. On one side, you've got bitmaps. You know these, they're basically just grids of tiny colored dots, or pixels. Think of a digital photo or a painting. Then on the other side, you have vectors. Now these are totally different. They're not made of dots. They're defined by math, lines, points, curves, much more like an architect's blueprint. And here is where you can see the key difference in action. It's so cool. Check this out. On the left, when you zoom way in on that bitmap letter A, you start to see all the individual square pixels. See how the edges get all blocky and jagged? But now look at the vector A on the right. It stays perfectly crisp, perfectly smooth, no matter how close you get. And that's all because it's based on a mathematical formula, not just a fixed grid of pixels. Now, this difference has some really practical consequences. So, get this. According to the manual, that simple vector letter A takes up about 32 kilobytes of space. The bitmap version, though, over 40 kilobytes. Now, I know that might not sound like a huge deal for just one letter, but imagine you're creating a big, super complex design. That efficiency of vectors starts to add up and seriously cuts down on your file size and, importantly, your processing time. Okay, so how do we actually get from 2D to 3D? This is the big question. Well, that's where this thing called the relief comes in. And here's the best way to think about it. If a bitmap is a grid of points where each point has color information, a relief is a grid of points where each point has height information. Instead of red, green, or blue, each point is assigned a height on that z-axis. It's basically telling the machine exactly how deep or how high to carve right at that spot. And boom, that becomes your 3D model. All right, so we've got our building blocks down. Now let's step into the digital workshop itself and see how this all comes together in the actual ArtCAM Pro interface, straight out of 2005. And here it is. A little bit of a blast from the past, right? This screen was literally the command center for the digital artisan. Yep, it might look a little dated now, for sure, but all the key elements are right here. You can see the design windows for both your 2D and 3D views, and all the tool panels you'd need for creating and editing the artwork. So let's do a real quick tour of the most important areas. Up top, that's your standard menu bar, nothing too crazy there. The real action, though, happens in that assistant window. That was the hub for most of your tools. Your main canvas is right in the middle, which is great because it shows both your 2D drawings and a live 3D preview. And then finally, look over on the bottom left. That's the Toolpaths tab. That's the really important part where you prepare all the instructions for the machine. Okay, now for the really cool part, the magic. We've got the interface, we've got our 2D shapes, so how do you actually use those vectors and bitmaps we talked about to sculpt a 3D relief? Well, this is where ArtCAM just truly came alive. A really good way to think about it is that your 2D artwork, it isn't just a guide. It's more like your raw material, your digital clay. So a closed vector shape, for example, could become the boundary for a dome, and the colors in a bitmap could be translated directly into different heights, creating all this amazing texture and form. It's pretty brilliant. And ArtCAM gave you this entire toolbox just for this digital sculpting. I mean, you could create a shape directly from a vector outline, you could build a perfect dome, or you could even do these really complex operations like a two-rail sweep. That's where you guide one shape along two completely different vector paths to create these incredible, flowing, organic forms. Super powerful stuff. And the whole process really does feel like you're sculpting. You're not just creating one shape and calling it a day. No way. You're building up your model piece by piece. You're adding a form here, then maybe subtracting another one over there to carve out a recess, or merging different shapes to blend them together seamlessly. It's this really iterative, creative process. All right, so we've designed our 2D art, we've sculpted our 3D model. Now it's time for the final, most critical step, the moment of truth, turning that digital file into a physical object you can actually touch. So picture this. You have this incredibly detailed 3D relief right there on your screen. It's beautiful. But here's the thing. A CNC machine has no idea what it is. It can't see it. It only understands simple movement commands, where to go, how fast to get there, and how deep to cut. And that's where the toolpath comes in. The toolpath is that final translation layer. It's the set of explicit, step-by-step instructions that guides the cutting tool across the material to bring your design to life. So really, the entire journey from screen to machine breaks down into these key steps. First, you design in 2D with your vectors and bitmaps. Second, you use that to create your 3D relief. Third, you generate the toolpaths, the instructions. Then, and this is a really crucial step, you simulate the whole machining process right on your screen to catch any potential errors before you cut. And finally, you send that code to the machine and watch it become real. And I want to be clear, this wasn't just some niche software hiding in a corner of the internet. Oh no, the company behind ArtCAM, a company called Delcam, was being recognized for its incredible innovation. They actually won the prestigious Queen's Award for Enterprise over in the UK just 2 years before this version of the software even came out. I mean, that really speaks volumes about the impact it was having on the entire industry. So when you put it all into context, you can see this really clear timeline. The award in 2003 recognizes the innovation. The 2005 release we're looking at solidifies it. And maybe most importantly, that core workflow, design in 2D, model in 3D, and then generate toolpaths, that is a foundation that is still alive and well in the design and manufacturing software that we all use today. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The next time you look at a 3D printer or a laser cutter or any of the modern CNC software that's out there now, think back to this 2005 workflow. Just ask yourself, how much of that fundamental process, that core idea of translating a simple 2D concept into a complex 3D reality, is still exactly the same? It's a really powerful legacy when you think about it.